Well, many of you today are afraid, and I want to talk to you about taking that bold leap of faith. When I was a student in high school, I decided early on that I wanted to work. There were a couple of guys that had been buying diamonds and gold from me at the pawn shop where I worked when I was a teenager. And one day it occurred to me that if I ever were to go in business for myself, I had to have some money because I was broke and a convict. I didn't have any money whatsoever. So I mustered up the courage to call these guys and said, "Hey, I'd like to come to your office and present a business opportunity to you." So they kindly welcomed me to their office. And I remember that day getting in my car. I was scared to death, just to be totally honest with you. I drove to the corner of Gallatin Road and Due West Avenue where their offices were located. I got out of the car and I walked in and I pushed floor 4. I said, man, my knees were shaking. My palms were sweating. I thought, what if they say no? What if they kick me out? And so I got to the top of the elevator, the doors opened, and I almost talked myself out of it. I said, no, I'm not going to do this. These guys are never in a million years going to go in business with me. And I turned around and I started back on the elevator and I thought, now what have I got to lose? I mean, the worst they can say is no, and I'll be on my merry way. Knocked on the door. The receptionist came out and said, yes. And I said, I'm Mr. Walker. I've got an appointment to see Roger Street and Dale Garrett. I walked in and they were jovial as always. They welcomed me in. And I said, listen, I've got 4 years of experience now as a teenager in the pawn shop business. And I want to present an opportunity to you to go into business with me. They started laughing. One of the guys looked at me and he was about 55, 58, 60 years old, something like that at the time. That's not so old anymore. That's where I'm at. But I said, I want to go in business with you. And he looked at me and he said, how old are you? And I started laughing and I said, I'm 18. He said, we've never had anybody 18 years old make a proposition to us to go into business. So I said, well, hey, there's a first time for everything. Here's the deal. And I laid it out for him and I said I wanted to go into business with him. Well, to make a long story short, I put together a business plan and I came back and they said yes. And at the time, this was in the 70s, right? Late 70s. I told him it was going to take $150,000 to open a store. Man, that was a lot of money then. Quite honestly, it's a lot of money today. But when you're 18 years old and you don't have anything, it's like, hey, roll the dice and go for it. Well, they said yes. And we went into partnership. Well, here's the reason I'm sharing that story. What is it today that you're confronted with that you're afraid to ask? I talked to somebody last week and they told me, they said, hey, I've been thinking about asking you a question for 6 months now, and I haven't been able to get the courage to ask you that question. Guys, are you there? Is that where you're at today? You have an opportunity or you have a business plan or there's a relationship that you need to talk through and you're just afraid, you don't have the courage. I look back now and think, what if I didn't make that proposition to those two businessmen that day? How would my life look? It would look much different today, I promise you, because as a child, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any abilities to go into business. I didn't have the resources or the connections, but I did muster up the courage to ask. And I just want to encourage you today to muster up that same courage. The answer is always no unless you ask. And I just want to encourage you today on that thing that you're working on or that relationship, or you've got that tough decision, or you've got that relationship that you need to go and talk through a tough thing. Listen, it is never as bad as you think it is. In our mind, we build up all these things and ideal situations that it could be, and it's never that way, ever. And I want to encourage you today to pull the trigger on whatever that is. That afforded me the opportunity to go on into business and do other things later. From 18 to 27, we were able to build it up to a size that we sold out to a Fortune 500, which really, really catapulted my career to the next level. It gave me opportunities to do other things. You can do the same thing. I didn't do one thing that you can't do. It's just that you're afraid, right? Fear of missing an opportunity more than you fear failure is a mantra that I live my life by. And I don't want to miss that opportunity. And I want to encourage you today not to miss that opportunity either. So listen, go for it. Muster up the courage. What's the worst that can happen, right? The way I look at it is, how bad could it be if you don't ask? If you stay right where you're at, what is that going to do for your family? What is that going to do for you as an individual? Listen, guys, muster up the courage and go out there today and tackle that thing. You can do it. I know you can do it. I did it, and you can do it as well. Listen, we have a mastermind group that meets every single week. They're the most amazing guys on the planet. We come together in a video conference room. It's on a platform called Zoom. It looks like the Brady Bunch. When you sign on, 10 other guys in the room, and we talk about these sensitive issues, and we give that encouragement. We give that accountability. We give the resources. We give the help, and we walk guys along to overcome their upper limit challenges as well. I'd love to have you join that. What is it that you're waiting on? You need these trusted advisors. You need your own board of directors. You need people to encourage you and give you that accountability that I'm talking about. Below, there's a link. If you'll just click on that link and fill out the application, I would love to personally reach out to you as well. Hey, here it is, the beginning of the fourth quarter. Let's go out there and crush it. Let's finish strong in 2018. Have a good one. I'm Aaron Walker, president and founder of View from the Top.